All right, topic 5A. So topic 5 is over solving inequalities. So we're going to start off with solving basic inequalities. And this has a combination of level 2 and level 3 problems. So your level 2 problems are going to be solve two-step inequalities and equations. Again, this is just focusing on the inequalities part. And then write inequalities using compound inequalities from a number line and vice versa. And then we also will have some level 3s, which are just solving equations and inequalities. But this will go beyond 2 steps. So this one will be like distributive property. You'll have 3 or 4 steps to carry out, that kind of thing. So we'll have both level 2 and level 3 problems. I'll kind of describe the difference between each as we go through them. So first, let's review the inequality symbols. This is something you've probably learned already, most likely in Integrated Algebra 1, but this first symbol means greater than. I always remember the alligator eats the bigger number. This sign kind of looks like an alligator symbol, so whatever's out in front, that means it's the bigger number, so it's greater than. So if you have something that's greater than, think about a number line. A number line, the numbers get bigger as you go to the right. So if I want to represent greater than, what you're going to do is you're going to have an open circle, because greater than means it does not include the first number, and then you're going to shade to the right. That would represent all of the numbers bigger than whatever number you're given, okay? And then if you're going the opposite way, it would be less than. And if you think about a number line, less than, all of the smaller numbers would be shaded to the left. Shade all the numbers smaller than the number you're given. The next two symbols are kind of the same two symbols, but you notice that little underline underneath it. That means or equal to. So whereas the first two, greater than and less than, do not include the number, if you see that little line where it means or equal to, that means it does include the number. So this one would be greater than or equal to. And if you notice, this time the dot is closed. Now always remember, if it's included, the dot is closed. If it's not included, the dot is open. And it's greater than, so it would shade to the right. That would be the greater numbers. And then the next one would be less than or equal to. And again, it has a closed circle because it does include the number. But it's shaded to the left because on a number line, all of the numbers less than that number would be to the left. Okay, so these are very basic. These are level 2s. We're going to graph the inequalities on a number line. So number 1 says x is less than or equal to -2. So we're going to need a dot at -2. And the question is, this symbol, does it include the -2 or does it not include the -2? Since you see that line, which means equal to, that means it does include it. So we're going to put a closed dot at -2, kind of like this. And it says x is less than. Notice the alligator is eating the bigger number. It's eating the 2. So if x has to be everything less than -2, that means I need to shade to the left. So with your pencil, you could just draw a line, or you could actually shade this a little bit darker, but we want to shade to the left of -2, less than or equal to. Number 2, x is greater than 7. This time the alligator is eating the x, so that means the x has to be bigger than 7. And notice there's no line under that symbol, so that means it doesn't actually include the 7. So we need an open circle this time at 7. So you're just going to kind of circle where 7 would be. And x is anything greater than that, so we would shade to the right. These are all the numbers that are greater than 7. Looks something like that. Okay. So now let's work on solving. These first, let's see, 4, these are all going to be your level 2s. Level 2. So here's an important reminder from last year. If you are multiplying or dividing by a negative number, and the signs on both sides are changed, then the inequality sign must be flipped, okay? So anytime you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, remember that changes the sign of something. Like if you take a negative times a negative, now it's going to be positive. So if I'm changing the sign value, then my greater than or less than sign should flip as well, okay? Those kind of go hand in hand. If you're changing something from positive to negative by multiplying or dividing, you have to remember to flip the sign. So we'll cross that when we get there. It's only when you're multiplying or dividing a negative number. So number 3, we want to get x by itself. It's kind of just like solving an equation, but you have an inequality sign to deal with. So to get x by itself, all we have to do is divide by 7 on both sides. 63 divided by 7 is 9. So I have 9 is less than x. And you could flip this around. As long as you keep the sign open or pointed to the same number. So you could say like 9 is less than x, or you could also say x is greater than 9. These would be the same thing. Notice the alligator is eating the x on both of them, or it's pointing to the 9 on both of them. So we have x is greater than 9. So since there's no line underneath, that means equal to, that means I have an open circle. 9 is not actually included, so open circle around 9. But x has to be greater than 9, so we're going to shade all the numbers greater than 9. So we're going to shade this way. Okay. So this would include like 9.5, 10, 11, 12, anything bigger than 9, but not actually 9 itself. Number 4, again, get x by itself. I have x minus 5 on the right, so to undo that, I'm going to add 5. So I get 8 is greater than or equal to x. And again, I like to put my x first, so we can kind of flip that around. Just make sure you flip the sign as well. These would be the same thing. My alligator is still eating the bigger number, still eating the 8, still pointing to the x. So I have x is less than or equal to 8. So since it's an or equal to, that means 8 is included, it gets a closed circle, and x is less. So everything less than 8 this time gets shaded, which is this way. Okay. All right. So now we have some 2 steps. Okay. Number 5, we actually have variables on both sides. Okay. I always like to put my x on the left, or in this case, g. I like to put my variable on the left. If it helps you, and I'm sorry this got cut off in a weird spot, if it helps you draw a line, I want my g to be on the left, but everything else to be on the right. So in order to move that 10g over, I'm just going to subtract it. And I'm not multiplying or dividing, so I don't have to flip the sign yet. But 1g minus 10g would be negative 9g minus 5. Still have my sign, negative 6. Okay. Now we got to get g by itself, so add 5 to both sides. Remember, you always have to add or subtract before you can multiply or divide when you're solving an equation. Negative 9g is less than or equal to, I still haven't multiplied or divided by anything, so I'm not flipping the sign. It's negative 1. But then I have one more step. Okay, now I have to divide by negative 9. This is what I was talking about. When I divide by negative 9, I'm changing the left side from negative to positive, and I'm also changing the right side from negative to positive. So since I'm changing that sign, my less than or equal to has to be flipped as well. So I'm dividing by a negative. I'm going to make a note. Dividing by negative means flip sign. Have to do that. You can't forget. So now I have G is flip it greater than or equal to 1/9. Okay. So if I want to mark that down, we're gonna put a closed circle at 1/9. That's gonna be really close to like here. Just estimate it. And my G is greater than, so I want to shade this way. Maybe I can just make myself a note. This is supposed to be at 1/9. All right, let's do the next one. We want to get B by itself, so subtract 8, subtract 8. Negative B is less than or equal to -12. I haven't multiplied or divided yet. But now, since I have a negative B, I want to divide by -1. Now I'm dividing by a negative again, so we have to flip the sign. My left side is going from negative to positive now. My right side is also going from negative to positive, so that sign has to be flipped. B would now be greater than or equal to 12. So closed circle at 12. And we would shade greater than, so this way. There we go. Now here's some level 3s. These are gonna have multiple steps. We also have some distributive property here. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and distribute. This is just like solving equations. Just remember, if you happen to multiply or divide by a negative number on both sides, then you need to flip the sign. So we'd have -8z plus 28. All I did was clean that up. I took my -4 and I distributed it. Rewrite the rest. Okay. Now, we got a lot of z's here. I'm going to combine like terms. I'm just going to clean it up before I do anything. Take it one step at a time. So this would be -14z plus 28 is greater than -4z plus 4. So I just combined my like terms on each side. Draw a line if you have to. We have variables on both sides. So I want z all on the left, but everything else all on the right. So I'm going to take this 4z and move it over to the left by adding it. That would give me -10z plus 28 is greater than 4. Then I'm going to subtract my 28. I'm running out of room. -10z is greater than -24. And then I would divide both sides by -10. I'm going to come up here. I'm just going to rewrite this. Let me make sure we don't miss something. I am dividing by -10. When I divide by a negative, I'm changing the sign. The left side is going to be positive now, and so is the right. So I need to flip the sign in the middle. It is now going to be a less than symbol, and I'm going to get about 2.4. There you go. And it does say simplest form. Actually, I'm going to put this as a fraction. So 2.4 would be the decimal version. Usually if it says simplest form, it wants it as a fraction. So this would be 24/10. Think about what you can take out of a 24/10. I'm going to do this off to the side. What's the biggest number you can take out? Well, I can take out a 2 from the top and the bottom. So if you divide a 2 out, you get 12/5. So I'll put it that way instead. 2.4 would be the same thing, but it does say simplest form, 12/5. And there's your answer. It's just like solving an equation. You just have to be careful with your sign in the middle, okay? So Maybe if you're ready, you can try number 8, and you can unpause it when you're ready, and we can go over it. I'm going to do my distributive property. Okay, all I did was take that 5 and distribute it, or the -5. P plus, I'm going to go ahead and make that +2. Took my 5 and -3, added them together. I'm going to combine like terms over here as well. 20p plus 45 is greater than or equal to 9p plus 2. Combined my like terms again with my 10p and my -30p. Now, remember we want p all to one side, everything else to the other. -29p plus 45 is greater than or equal to 2. Minus 45 minus 45. -29p is greater than -43. Now, I'm dividing by a negative number, so my sign has to flip. Let's see. As a fraction, kind of an ugly one. Yep, it doesn't reduce. Oh, duh, I knew that. Whoops. Hold on. Okay, so my sign is flipping. Nothing's gonna go into 43 or 29. So you're just gonna leave it as 43 over 29. I think if you got a decimal, let me see what it would be. It'd be about 1.48, and it keeps going. But it says leave it in simplest form, so leave it as a fraction. This is what I would get, okay? P is less than 43 over 29. We had to